Hello, in this tutorial we will look at how to make an explosion in 3ds Max using Tyflow. We'll start by using everyone's favorite teapot here, not that big, and then we'll place a Tyflow icon here. For Tyflow, we would then open up the Tyflow editor. Just move it over this side. And we'll start adding some commands in. So we'll start by having the birth objects, and in the birth object we'll pick the teapot. Now you notice the teapot has changed color. What it has done is they created a clone. So what we can do is hide the 3ds Max teapot and only have the Tyflow clone. You can see the color here matches the teapot, so we know that that's the correct one that we want. On the display, sometimes it's set to small dots, but just make sure it's under geometry. Next, we will add another command, which is Voronoi fracture, right here. Place it on the birth object. And next, we will add another command. We will put physics X shape here under that, and we would, you can see that the teapot is currently fractured slightly. What we can do, we can increase this fracture by increasing the points. We want a nice good fracture, so we'll give it a big nice number, say 1000. You can see that the pot now is very fractured. Next, we can just have a look there. You can see that the pot is fracturing down, but it's not really fracturing, it's just crumbling actually. So what we can do is we can stop it from crumbling immediately, and what we need to do is to add in a switch. So we'll add physics X switch. So this switch does nothing. It's just pretty much tell them not to crumble straight away. So in this one we'll just leave it as deactivate, and we need another switch, and this switch tells them when to start fracturing. And with this second switch we want it to be dynamite activate. In the timing, under here we will change it to a particular frame that we want it to start exploding. We'll say frame 30 to frame 30. We want this event to happen, and let's have a look at it. So if we drag it to event 30, you can see, there we go, it starts to crumble. At the moment it's sort of a very flat crumble, and we want to add a bit more force to it, so we would drag the force icon under the second switch over there, and we need to tell which direction for it to explode. So in the 3ds Max we go to create, and we go to this one here, which is will give you the wind, and we will place it over here. Drag this icon to the middle of the teapot so that the wind occurs in the middle. Just have it a bit higher. There we are. And we want to give some intensity to it as well. We will give it a turbulence of say 50, and a frequency of 1. Once that is set, under force again, we will now pick the wind that we've created, and it looks like it's exploded straight away, but what we need to do is we need to change the frame to match what we set earlier, which is at frame 30 and frame 30. And yep, it looks much better now. It's sort of exploding with much more intensity. Once that is set, we will now select Tyflow icon again, and in the cache setting, make sure that cache enable caching is selected, and at the bottom, just gotta drag it, is a section called retimer, and we will need to make sure that enable simulation retimer is ticked, and this would help to create the events in the animation. So next, after this is done, we are now ready to start our animation. Press on auto key at the bottom here, and you see this red time bar. That means you are in animation mode. So what we do is we will drag the time bar to frame 30, which is the start of our explosion. So we need to tell them this is where we want the explosion. So this is a key event. So we'll add this symbol here, and after that we would then start to add another key event, which is at 35. At frame 35, the explosion will start to occur, and we will bring this up to, say, frame 32. And once that is done, we will drag it a bit more to, say, frame 55, and we'll give it a little bit more explosion, say to frame 35.9. So what happens between frame 35 to 55? There will be a slow motion explosion, and then we'll drag it to frame, say, 75. We'll move the explosion event again to, say, frame 50, and we'll move the timeline again to, say, frame 95, where we will quickly bring everything back down again to the original part. And that should be the end of the animation, and let's have a test. Yep, so you can see from frame 35 to 50 there was a bit of a pause there, and after that it goes back together again. That's the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time.